In 2023, I rebuilt my entire financial life in 12 months using 3 tools, no new income, and 1 daily habit, and I'm going to explain to you exactly how I did it. I'm Santiago, I'm a certified financial planner, and a few years ago, I was floating by in life and I was building a portfolio with my hard-earned savings, but I still had no idea where any of it was going because I had no specific destination about where I wanted to actually end up when it was all said and done. So if this sounds like you, then this video is for you. Now, there were some questions in my life that haunted me that I would avoid answering because they're really intimidating. And it was, what do I actually want? What does it cost? And how far am I right now from achieving those things? And answering this is intimidating because half of the battle when we're fixing our financial life starts in our head. So I'm going to walk through a list that I created through trial and error to improve my financial life. And I'm going to say this right now that most of you that are watching this video are not going to do this list because it's going to seem very simple and trivial. But that's the entire point right there of why most people can't get to where they want to be financially, is because you can't do simple tasks that are going to lead to the really big results. So listen to the end, take all these tips, and then you can try applying them to your life. So the first thing that I did was going into what's called the Muse Cage. And this is named after a concept by Kobe Bryant. And the concept is to have complete focus on what you want, having singular focus. And I want you to take a moment, and you can pause the video if you need to. I want you to close your eyes and ask yourself, if money was not a constraint, what would my life look like? And begin to map it out. And I would go big on purpose and stop shortchanging myself of the vision that I had for my life. What type of house, what type of things do I want to do? What type of people that I want to hang? And the destination has to be specific before any plan can point towards that destination. So the tool I used to help me map this whole thing out is a tool called MindMester. You can go to mindmester.com and you can use this tool to map out where you live, what you drive, what you do with your time, what do you want to be able to give to charity. All these things become a branch of the map that becomes the financial coordinates for your life. So going into the Muse Cage, it's going to require you to have a lot of focus on filling the gap from where you are to where you want to be, because the size of the gap that exists from where you are and where you want to be is not the problem. Floating by without knowing that that gap exists in the first place is the problem. So the mind map is the coordinate system that would tell me exactly where my money needed to go, where my efforts needed to go, and where my investments needed to go, so that I could have a singular direction pointing forward to achieving that goal. Without coordinates, all the tools, all the right investments can lead to all the wrong results. And this is how you see people in a situation where they have a lot of money, they have a lot of resources, but they still seem unhappy and hopeless because they don't have a set destination on what they wanted their life to look like. So once we have our vision mapped out, we need to start putting some hard numbers on this vision. What does your life cost per month at the destination that you want to end up? And then you want to compare that number to what you're earning right now and start building towards that today, because the distance between those 2 points is the gap that you need to close. Now, I will say I avoided this calculation because that distance, when you map it out, often feels paralyzing because you're looking at where you are, you're looking at where you want to go, and you're like, there's no way that I'm going to get here. But you can't begin to start closing that gap if you refuse to measure the gap in the first place. I came across and I bought this book right here. It's called You Were Born Rich. And in You Were Born Rich, there's short exercises that take less than 5 minutes. And each exercise challenged me to think about how I was approaching closing this gap. And it began to force me to think very critically on how I felt about wealth and what I was actually doing about it. Now, a map is just a map. Just because we write some things down and read a book doesn't mean that all of a sudden our financial life is going to change. But what it did help me do is I started to take an honest inventory of every single day, looking at what I was doing and asking myself a very simple question. Is this helping me close my gap, or is it not helping me close the gap? Because if it's not, then I need to stop stop doing that activity and redirect that time and energy to something that can help close my gap. Because every single inch in the right direction starts to compound every single day. You need to be honest with yourself, because I had to be honest with myself and hold myself accountable. So if you're getting off work and playing video games, just ask yourself, is this single activity helping me close my gap that I've outlined? And maybe that time can be redirected for searching for different solutions, maybe some passive income investments, products like the ones I share on this channel. I will say just 3 years ago, a lot of these products, I didn't know about them. I began to discover them and find them because I set out a path that forced me to start looking for solutions. Now, if you're enjoying this video so far, what I want you to do is I want you to hit the subscribe button to the channel and hit the like button. Leave in the comments what's your ultimate financial dream and what you're doing to get there. And if you're not currently following me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram at Finance with Santiago. I post a lot of content about living your best financial life. So now that I had this map, what started to change to give me clarity on how I was going to arrive there? Because once the vision becomes specific, now every tool starts to have a job. You're no longer in this abstract area. And a funny thing starts to happen once you start owning your gap. Slowly, you start closing it and building more and more momentum to the end destination. Like I said, a lot of the things that I talk about on this channel just 5 short years ago, I didn't even know. I started to close my gap. And once I knew what I needed to close, I started to make specific targeted moves that served a purpose within the larger plan. There's a saying that says that luck finds those who are searching. So you need to be searching first. Before, I was blindly investing into the S&P 500, which is okay. But instead of blindly investing in the S&P 500 and hoping that I woke up 20 years from now and my life was going to be better, what I started to do is I started searching and then asking myself, okay, what type of investments and what type of tools and resources can I use within the markets that can help me start closing my gap? That's when I started to discover private market investments, when I became an investment analyst, and all the things that I began to start talking about on this channel started to have more clarity because I knew exactly the type of life I wanted to live, which is living a life on my own terms. Now, let me give you a tool that I use to stay consistent when I'm on this path of closing the gap, because it's very easy to get discouraged when day after day you're working, but it still seems like you're not gaining any traction. And the app is called the Power List. You can download this on the App Store. It's for free. And what you're going to do on this app is every single day before you go to sleep, you're going to list out 5 simple tasks that you need to do in the next day to move 1 inch closer to closing that gap. So for me, it would look like maybe reading for 20 minutes, writing my YouTube scripts, studying thumbnails more, all these little activities that were gonna lead me to my promised land. And the objective overall is to simply win every day and win more days than you lose. Most of us can't get our financial life in order and reach some type of destination because we don't have the coordinates to where we want to go in the first place. And then we just simply can't win the day. We never get started. So don't focus on the next year. Don't focus on the next week. Just simply focus on winning one day at a time. And after 1 year, I looked back and I looked at myself winning more days than I lost. And I'm like, wow, I'm in much better place where I started. In some of my other videos that I've posted earlier, I talk about how I created $11,000 in passive income. But remember, that number started at 0 and it built to 11,000. And then I got the confidence that said, if I can build $11,000 in passive income, then I can build $100,000. And if I can build $100,000, then I know I can build $1 million. Now, I don't want to take the credit for the Power List. I'm going to give credit where credit is due. I got this from Andy Frisella, the popular entrepreneur podcaster. But this concept absolutely works. So the second book that I'll share with you is a book that completely changed my life and helped me with this concept. And it's Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. This book alone changed the way I looked at my life and my goals. So make sure that you read this book with You Were Born Rich, because it's a classic. It's filled with a bunch of gems, and it helped me get jump started to making my financial transition over that year. So now you know the steps that I took to transition my financial life in 12 months. So now you can check out my video about how I plan to take that next step forward and retire early and live abroad.